Welcome to my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality. My name is Vickie Poole, and I am a master transformational coach specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And it's all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I am your host, like I said, Vickie Poole. And I want to ask you, before I introduce my amazing guest, that if you have any ahas or questions, to please leave a comment or a voice message. And remember to do all the wonderful things like, subscribe, and share. So now let's get started. So this is Pam, and is it Duran still? Yeah, right?
Duran.
Duran. Okay.
Yes.
This is Pam Duran, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about who she is. But before she does that, I want to tell you, I've known Pam for quite a while. I just realized my light's not on. Let me turn my light on. Talk about not editing. But I've known her for quite a long time because in my past life, I was a hairstylist, and I still am. And Pam used to come into the salon. And so I've been acquainted with her for quite a long time. So I'm super excited to have her on as a guest. And she's actually had me as a guest on her podcast as well. And she'll give you some information about that toward the end. But Pam, go ahead and tell them a little bit about you.
Hello, I'm Pamela Duran, singer, songwriter, author, podcast host of Real Heart Talk. You Are Enough. I am an IT professional. I have worked with nonprofits. We have raised money for North Georgia's Got Talent for domestic violence. So I am an advocate for people who are survivors, especially single moms. I was a single mom for a long time, and I am happy to be here today. Thank you for having me on your show, Vickie.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because you are such a well-rounded person with all the different things that you've been involved with. And so all the things that you just quoted off. So where did you get started with all of that?
I think I've always been a writer, songwriter at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to know from the very beginning, in elementary school, I started writing poems, and I just loved doing that. So I really fell in love with writing in elementary school and just continued to do that. I have went to the Grand Ole Opry and sang on the Grand Ole Opry. I've recorded songs in Nashville. So I have songs on SoundCloud if you want to go check them out.
Okay. Well, you'll have to definitely share the link with us so that we can check that out. And, it's funny that you're saying that you used to write poems. I used to write poems all the time too. And when I was in high school, people used to pay me to write some of their creative writing papers, because to me that was fun, and they didn't like it. So, but I'm not a singer-songwriter, but nobody wants me to be a singer, that's for sure. I sing really good in a crowd. I loved being part of the choir at church because I had all those amazing voices around me,
Yes, I love that too. I always love singing in the choir, and I sing in our praise and worship team now at my church, and I just enjoy that. And then on every third Sunday, I do volunteer at the nursing home and play music and sing for them during their service. So
okay, so do you play an instrument?
The keyboard.
Okay, so you take your own keyboard, or do they have one?
They have a piano, so piano, keyboard. I did want to learn the violin. I was just too hard on myself.
Don't we tend to be that way, especially as we get older? I want to already know this.
That's exactly it. All I could do is twinkle, twinkle, little star. I'm like, I can play the piano. Why can't I just do something else on this thing? I just didn't have enough patience, I guess. But then that is a hard instrument to learn.
Yeah. Well, at one point I wanted to learn to play the guitar, but to me it was frustrating because you had to learn each string and it's each key and everything. And I'm thinking, can't I just play a song for goodness sakes? So things like that are definitely, it takes an amazing skill to make your brain do all the things and have the patience to get through them. I know I still don't play an instrument because of that very thing. I get a little impatient. I want to already know how to do it. I want to sit down and be Beethoven.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Well,
me too.
one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and I did ask permission prior to us getting on here to make sure it was okay. But I would love it if you could maybe share a little bit of this story that I know about you. It's a very heart-wrenching story, and it's something that I'm sure there are a lot of people that have had to deal with something like that. So it might be great. And I know I think I saw you share something on Facebook or something at one point after all this happened to you. And it was just like, oh, and you say, for the grace of God, there would be I. So I guess I've led up to enough. People are saying, what the hell is it? So if you don't mind, kind of share that, because I just feel like it would be something that would help people to see that things can happen and you can still have an amazing life.
Mm. Well, our journey, just like the title of your podcast, Today's Dreams, Tomorrow's Reality, it was not a dream of mine to happen, but I can tell you it was manifested. So whatever you're thinking, whatever you're manifesting, good or bad, Christian or not, even if you're a Christian, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you plant those seeds and those thoughts and take those actions day after day, you're going to happen. You're calling it forth. That's what you're doing. And I honestly didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah, well, I think most of us in a situation that is unpleasant like that, we don't realize it or we wouldn't do it. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, and that's what happened. I did write a book about it. It's on Amazon. It starts within you, because truly everything does start within us, whether we're happy, whether we're sad, whether we believe, whatever we believe, that's what we are going to truly receive. So when you start believing a thing, like a lot of the world has, that is not true, but it gets into your emotions, and that emotions create a hook, and then your mind just goes along with your heart, even though you may know better. And so that was really where my story was. And I think I want to talk to your ladies that are listening that may be over 50 or over 60, and you have lost that loving feeling, or you have lost the feeling of appreciation, or that you're not worthy, you're not enough. When you feel like that, reach out to people, reach out to your family. If you have a spouse, reach out to them and have a conversation. Don't keep it a secret. That is the thing it was a secret. Everything, when something's a secret, ooh, that makes you feel special, right? And all of this major stuff that they're sharing with you, it's a secret. And there's no physical, not even a phone call. It's truly just text messaging.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's fill in the gaps for the listeners, because you were feeling inadequate and unhappy in your marriage, right?
So here's the thing, Vickie.
Okay.
I didn't even know that I was feeling that way. Okay. We were happy. We had a new house for 2 or 3 years. My job was going great. I was leading in a church group, ladies group. We met every week. I was leading a women's group in the community. I was part of the chamber in the community I was in. So I didn't even realize, that's why I said that. I didn't even realize what was missing. And it was truly that appreciation, just feeling that love of appreciation.
Right.
And so, I was on Instagram. It did start on Instagram.
Okay.
And when someone messages you and they're pretty famous, you know them, they're born in your same year, you have a lot of things in common. It's like, well, why not? Everybody needs somebody to talk to. But that was a little seed of doubt that was planted. And I do have a conference that we just did in Indiana, our first one, Sow, Grow, Restore, and Transform. But it is about the little seeds that we plant. But just like we plant those good seeds in that good ground and it goes places, so do the seeds that are on that stony ground and that wayside ground. They go in the wrong places. They may not grow the good things, but they are growing things. So that little seed of doubt was all it took. And then just the repetitive conversation. So if somebody has friended you on Instagram and they're pretty famous and you're thinking, wow, you need to just ask them if they believe Jesus came in the flesh. Because if I had just said anything like that, or if they were a Christian, or do you love Jesus? It would have been gone and over and done. Because if someone cannot have a conversation with you in this day and time or get on a Zoom with you, it's not of any good.
Yeah.
But I was intrigued because of who they were. And it made me feel special. And I guess I wasn't feeling special at that time. I don't know. Maybe I was just so busy I didn't even realize, because I was pretty busy doing a lot of, I didn't have my podcast at that time. My podcast was born out of, or birthed out of, that whole adversity. So the good things do come out of adversity.
Oh, definitely.
So it's not, you may be going through a season like this where you're reaching out. It may not be another person. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's a sexual addiction. Maybe it's something like that, but it's still an emotional hook that is pulling you away from your God-given creator and all of the treasures that he has for you if you just lean into him. And I'm so thankful for my faith. A lot of times, Vickie, I felt like Job. God knew Job could handle it, but it was very tough. And I really thank the Lord. I had lost almost everything except my house. I quit my job, lost my 401k, sold my cars.
So you did that because you were connecting with this person?
Yes, and building our little nest egg.
Okay.
Like, he didn't need anything from me. So, but that was the ruse. We're building something together. So when they come to you on any platform, it doesn't have to be Instagram, but they cause a seed of doubt. They won't talk to you on the phone. They're saying we need to build a nest egg together in Bitcoin or crypto, whatever. Don't do anything overseas. So my story, the FBI was involved, the GBI, they said, anything that goes overseas is not recoverable, even from my bank. And even this person put money in my account, $7,000. I'm like, what was I thinking? I should have just put that in my savings and said goodbye. But no, you're trusting them. And that is another part of their trust, because they know they have you so hooked, you're going to do whatever they say.
Yeah. It's being catfished in a big way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm so thankful. After Thanksgiving and after I quit my job, the plan was to be together physically, but that didn't happen.
So
and then
you left your husband though, right?
Yes, I was divorced as well. So
okay.
And after that happened, my heart just sank, and that's when I started really thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, we're in it. Let's just go, just see it to the end, which I really thank God I did not sell my house. I thank God that did not happen. I did drive a rental car for a couple of months because I didn't have any other way to go. And a friend of mine had a condo in Florida, and she invited me to come down. So I went down that first week in January, and that was my birthday week. And I'm so thankful for her, because there was no judgment. There was no question. She just loved on me and let me just regain my sense of self, my self-confidence, start rebuilding my self-confidence, and just let go of the horrible, mistake that I made. And I was out there, it was in January. I was out there on that beach every day in that water singing Let It Go to the top of my lungs. And I'm like, these people can't hear me. This place is so loud. It don't matter.
Even if they could, who cares? Maybe they needed the message, right?
Yeah. So I'm forever grateful for her. And then I had a couple of months of coaching from a coach that was left over from the 2019. And so that she brought me back to life, gave me kept rebuilding my confidence and my sustainability and my ability, to get a new job. And I did get one right when they said COVID was happening. So finally I did get a car before then too. So, things were just lining up and getting back in place. And right when COVID hit, I got the job. And then 2 weeks later, they rescinded the job. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And my uncle also passed away. He was the first one in our family that passed away from COVID, and we couldn't go to the funeral. So that was hard on everybody. We just couldn't say our goodbye properly.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm taking time. I'm going to take time for kids, grandkids, and then I'll start another job search. And I did that, and I found the job. And like 3 days later, they gave me a job offer. It was like boom, boom, boom. When God says something, that's how things work. It's not a long, drawn out process. It's just like, okay, this is it. This is happening. So I was able to work from home the whole time, a year and a half, when COVID started, and stayed in my house. And that's when me and my husband started getting everything built back together. And what took that 4 months to tear down, I mean, it's took 2 years to rebuild, and it's still rebuilding, but it is rebuilding better, just like God restored.
Make it stronger.
Yes.
Yeah. The old thing about the kitsu, Japanese art of taking a vase that has cracks in it and putting the gold, making it more beautiful and making it stronger. That's kind of what life is you can take something that's broken and maybe it has some ugly places on it, it's just definitely not what you want, and you fill it with gold and make it beautiful and make it stronger. And so that's what we can do with relationships if we put in the effort, because it's like one of those things you have to, and I'm sure you can speak on this. I've not had this experience, but you can, if you get into communication and talk about what has happened and why it's probably happened and where do we go from here, then it's very, very different relationship. And I'll just share a quick thing. My husband and I, we got divorced, and we after about a year, we started talking and trying to get back together. And he kept wanting to get remarried. And I kept saying, but we're the same people. We're just in the dating phase again. And we did great in the dating phase. So I said, so until we get communication better in situations and get over these things that tore us apart, we can't do that, because I can't do it to the kids a second time. Unfortunately, he had a massive heart attack and passed away before we were ever able to, get remarried. And whether we really would have or not, I have no idea, because we were still in that phase of trying to work it all out. But so I commend you so much for being able, because it takes a strong person to be able to step back and say, hey, this is what I've done, and let's see if we can't fix this, make it stronger. So I really commend you. So when you're thinking back to the time when you and your husband, your ex-husband at that time, right, were having that conversation about whether or not you could bring it back together, what was that like, if you don't mind my asking? It may be too much, I don't know. So if it's okay to share, share that, because I'm sure for me it's something that I want to know.
Well, it's funny that you say that you told him y'all are the same people, because I truly felt like that. And he saying, well, I'm the same person, I haven't done it, anything. I'm like, that's the I mean, we need to take a step back and think of what needs to happen. So we did go to counseling, and it was during COVID, so it was over the Zoom, and it was just funny because he didn't want to be there. But the lady, it was like group therapy. So there were like several
Oh,
couples
okay.
on the thing. So it was pretty cool doing that. And I think it was helpful for him. So, and it was funny sometimes too, just because it was. I
Yeah.
think when I get nervous or don't know what to do, I just laugh. And I
Yeah.
don't really mean it of making fun of people way. I just laugh.
Yeah. Well, I have a thing. I either laugh like that or it brings me to tears. I can cry from, just it's not that I'm sad. I'm just crying because there's too much emotion there for it to come out any other way.
Yeah, I know. You have to do something. So that's good. We're laughers and cryers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how long did it take for you guys to, I guess, from the time everything fell apart, you went to Florida, and how long did it take for you guys to start trying to, or at least talking about rebuilding?
I think it was when I came back, and I got the job and I was living
So
at
how
home.
long was that? I don't know, from the time you were in
Oh,
Florida till you come back.
so Florida, probably 6 months.
Okay, okay,
So I think we were truly only apart maybe 9 months. I mean, if you
okay.
want to count the time, but we started working our way back, together. So
Mm-hmm. So other than counseling, was there something that you were able to do? I'm just wondering because some people that are listening or watching, might have something that's going on. It may not be as something as extreme as what you had going on, but maybe they've got something going on and they really want to work on things, but getting a counselor or a coach is not something that's within their scope of things. Is there something that you did that kind of maybe helped push it along?
So yes, thank you for reminding me.
Okay.
So there were several books. The Mirror Works by Louise Hay. It's a 21-day I call it a devotional, but it has things you do every day. You carry a mirror around with you and you look in it very often and say, I love you, because truly I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel love. And I'm a loving person. And I truly felt dead just because of what happened.
Yeah.
And like I told, the FBI, I can't believe I fell for this. And they're like, people are losing millions of dollars. CEOs, they said that is their job. That is the person's job, is to take everything from you. So it has nothing to do with your intellect, because you do
Right.
feel like that was dumb.
Yeah. How could I have fallen for this? I should know. I can see. Yeah. But
Mhm.
you can get taken in things from people that they're not after your money. They're just after, this relationship or whatever. And you can get kind of, really bamboozled in that too. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's true. So that was a good devotional. And at the end of it, it has meditation at the end of it. And then also, Jensen Franklin has a book called Restart My Heart. It's also a
I'm not
20.
familiar with that author.
He's actually a pastor in Gainesville at the
Okay.
church in Gainesville.
Okay.
So that is a really good book for people who have felt like they've just lost love or can't feel love. I went through that like 3 times. It's a 21-day devotional as well. And then, of course, Dr. Charles Stanley, he had several books that I went through. One was on brokenness and how to overcome that. And then the emotions, confront the lives and conquer with truth. That was a really good book. So I went through a lot of emotional books, even emotional agility. I did an emotional intelligence course just to get a handle on all that, and to I felt like it was bringing me back to life, bringing my
Yeah.
feelings back to life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the things that's for sure is that we can't feel from an empty cup. So
Right.
if you're trying to get back into a relationship, you've got to be full here. You've got to be able to say, yes, I do love me. I do deserve this. I'm capable. I'm smart. I'm all the things. And then once you can feel that way, then the other person can kind of reciprocate, because they can't feel love and devotion and all this stuff for you if you can't feel it for yourself.
Right. And we
Yeah.
had sold my furniture in the house to pay my bills since I didn't have a job, and I lost my money, my 401k and my cars, when I sold my cars. And so we just have one love seat left. So get a love seat, people. Y'all sit close together.
That's right.
That's the only place we had to sit, was in the love seat. So, for a while. And then, after I was working a while, then we got our furniture back. But we did sit in the love seat for a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect. That's perfect. You're talking about some togetherness there, right?
Yes, definitely. So as the months went on in 2020 and 2021, my dad passed away in 2021, and we had pretty much fully reconciled by then. And after he passed, my son said, "Mom, if y'all were going to sell the house, why don't y'all just live with me for a year? And then you can, find a house that you want, and I can get back closer to them." So that's what we did. All that worked out beautifully. And then, so the beginning of 2022, we went to the beach and got remarried. So, yeah.
How sweet. Yeah, perfect. And so has the change in how you communicate and everything, is it evident now when you look at your relationship compared to the way your relationship was prior to?
It's probably a lot more funnier, or we'll make funny jokes, or say something like, "I need to feel appreciated," or just something that.
So you're able to speak up now about your needs more, or recognize your own needs where maybe you weren't recognizing them that much either. Right. And I will say, for me in relationships, one of the things that I have had a hard time with in the past is that for whatever reason, I think they're supposed to just know.
They're mind readers, Vickie.
I know. I would think, why does he not know that I need this? I shouldn't have to say it all the time. One of those things. So I am on a journey of self-discovery for myself, so I can be. Let me share. I saw a meme the other day, and it said, "I've been single for a long time, but now I think I found the one, and I'm so happy with myself." And it was, and I think when you can get to the place where you're fulfilled and you are the one, then it's open. And I feel like for me, I finally gotten to that place. And can be a double-edged sword too, because then it's like the thought of going out on a date or something like that is, I ain't got time for that.
It starts within you. Heart, mind, emotion.
I know. So you've been through this amazing journey, a lot of it not so good. And you've come out on the other side very productive and happy and healthy and doing all these things. I mean, I so enjoyed being on your podcast. And I know with all the different things that you're involved in. So what is the one thing, if you look at all of those things, what is the one thing that brings you the greatest joy?
The greatest joy is writing, singing, and my podcasting, to share other people's story of how they took their power back, how they rebuilt their resilience and their sustainability, to share with other women, to know you're not stuck where you are. This could have easily went a totally other direction, but I thank God for my faith. He really plucked me up out of that situation. And that was one thing I did a bookmark, and it was, "After this, there is a next," because I just kept saying, this did not happen for nothing.
Right.
There did not happen for nothing. There was a reason for it. For whatever reason it is, there's a reason for it. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God that I wrote my book. My book was birthed out of that. It starts within you. Heart, mind, emotions, deceived. How to overcome the obstacle of allowing the world to influence you. Break free today. That's the subtitle of it. Because in there, I have a lot of strategies and techniques, and even music and prayer. Music is a healer. I have one section on heal your spirit, and there's a bunch of different frequencies from the Solfeggio scale frequency that will heal your grief, he'll bring you joy back, that'll actually heal your DNA. So there's different frequencies I talk about in there, as well as a whole section on forgiveness, because you have to start forgiving yourself
That's one
before
of the hardest
you move
ones, I
forward.
think, and you have to forgive whoever this
Yes.
person was that manipulated you and basically stole from you. You have to find a place in your heart to forgive them too. And I think that's where a lot of people really, really struggle, because they feel like if you're forgiving the other person, you're saying what they did is okay. But it's not saying that at all. It's saying that I'm okay, and I'm not going to let what you did still affect me. Because the old thing of holding a grudge and not forgiving is drinking poison and expecting them to die.
Yes.
And because they don't even remember your name, probably, so I think that's a great thing in your book, is to really focus on the forgiveness part, because I mean, we all have things to forgive ourselves for.
Yes.
All of us. I've never met a person that could say they weren't regretful about something, so we definitely have to forgive ourselves and forgive the other person. And one of the things that you were saying was just went right out of my head. Well, keep talking. It'll come back to me.
So also the chapter in the book on prayers are communication uplink, and grace. Give yourself grace. I did a whole section on that, and never quit. Just because you're down, you have to remember that Rocky quote, get back in fighting. Don't let it keep you down. I don't know the exact quote, but that's what you have to do. Just keep going, keep fighting, because there's something greater. It didn't happen for anything. Whatever happened to you, it was not for nothing. And it was for you to make a difference in this world. And people are waiting for your story, and they need to hear it. So I encourage you, if you've went through anything similar, if you saw your scammer or catfisher on TV with somebody else, don't throw up. I almost did, but anyway. It was the thickest feeling. Just move forward and know that you're smarter than this. You just let that little crack in your armor let something seep through, and you're gonna fill it with that gold. I love that. I love that analogy. Filling it with the gold to make you stronger and better, and you're gonna go forward, and you're gonna help more people than you will realize.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think a lot of times when something happens to us that we're maybe embarrassed of, oh, I can't believe I fell for that kind of thing, we tend to not want to talk about it. And so then that leaves the next person vulnerable and open to the same thing. So if you can shine a light on it, that this is something that goes on, and then people can start, maybe they don't fall prey to it as quickly. And I will share real quick. One of my sisters has a friend, and she's an older lady, and they took her Facebook account away from her because there was a Facebook famous person was wanting to connect with her, and was using all the heartstrings,
Yeah.
And like I said, she's an older lady, and I think sometimes people really target older people because they just
They're
know
lonely.
that there's something in their life
They're
that's not happening anymore, and so luckily they did take it away, because they saw she was doing something, and I don't even recall what it was, but they had a feeling that she was about to start sending money, and so they took the whole thing away. And and so it happens probably a hell of a lot more than any of us realize. And and it's interesting. I wonder sometimes, and you might have a little insight on this, I have no idea, but I wonder sometimes, as they're perusing, Facebook or Instagram and stuff, if there's some certain thing that they're looking for, that's an indicator that, I can get this on them. Do did the FBI, or in your experience, was there something that they said?
They just said that that's their job, and really what happens is they just start repeating. So repetitively, it's almost really like a brainwashing, because they repetitively say things, make sure that they connect every day, and just repetitively say things that just hook your emotions deeper and deeper and deeper till you have
Yeah.
that emotional book. And that book, Emotional Agility, really does talk about that. I think Susan David is the author, but it does talk about that. And also Dr. Charles Stanley's book, Emotions, Confront the Lies, Conquer with Truth.
Yeah.
So I think we have to remember we are a spirit living in a body, and we have a soul, and our soul is made up of our mind, our will, and our emotions. And we have to keep our emotions in check, because what happens, that's where, if the devil, if Satan, if the enemy, whoever gets to that part, they are going to make you feel things that are going to cause adverse actions to you reaching the best person you can be. So
Yeah.
we just have to be aware. And once you're aware, so maybe all this happened for me to create awareness. Once you're aware and start thinking in that realm, which it is a different thought process than what people think, then you can fight that with the words. Don't let the devil manipulate you and steal from you. He's stealing your money, he's stealing your emotions, he's stealing your time. I mean, that was time.
Yeah, that was a lot of time. Just recently, now, I was even telling my daughter earlier today that I am constantly getting these cranked out messages, you're so beautiful and I love your words, and I've tried to friend request you and some reason it's not working. Friend request me. And I'm thinking, nah, nope, delete. And then I've gotten several that are some star that has wanting to friend me. And I'm thinking, no, I really don't think so. So I just, delete. And, I would say, for a lot of people, it's probably mindlessly, just saying, okay, without realizing the implications of some of this stuff, what people will go to get into your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, your
Yeah.
mind and the heart. Because if you can start believing it, you can start feeling it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you start feeling it, then you start believing it. So it's a cyclical cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. It just keeps perpetuating itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we wanted to not take a lot of time on this. I could talk to you for a long time, I can say. But if you were to have one thing that you would like to offer people, as far as some kind of words of wisdom, or what do you want your your time on this earth, what do you want it to stand for? I know that's a big broad thing, but I think those are two really good things that I would love you to be able to touch on. And I know we've talked mostly about this thing that happened in your life, but you're much more than that thing. So if you want to take a minute to kind of maybe talk about some of your other stuff, you're welcome to do that, and then you can answer those questions in a minute, because I don't want it to leave it to where that's all we know about you.
Yeah. So if I could say anything, I would say love yourself. I'll just answer the questions first.
Okay.
Love yourself, know yourself, know your identity. I am a Christian, so know your identity in Christ. If you're not a Christian, I will pray for you, and I pray that you find direction and guidance and the answers that you're seeking. Because when you are not focused, when you don't have your focus, then those distractions will come in and take the place. Whether you're a business person, there were CEOs that were lost a lot of money. Why? What are you seeking? What have you lost? What is that feeling that you're not feeling that you need back in your life? Have some reflective time. Take time to evaluate your situation, evaluate your emotions, evaluate where you are, and seek out what that is you're missing. If it's God, find him. There's plenty on YouTube. We got the crazy faith man out there in Oklahoma. Joel Osteen's on there. There's a lot of preachers on there, so you can get help. Jerry Savelle is my favorite. I love hearing his faith messages. And Terry Savelle Foy is his daughter, and I do partner with her because she helps rescue women from human trafficking and domestic violence. And she's the cheerleader of your dreams, which is what I am as well. I am a vision coach to help you reach your dreams. And that is the message that I was sharing when all that happened. So if you're a hope dealer, if you want to help people lift them up, just keep your focus on that and don't let these distractions come. Just because you're a loving, nice person, love yourself, know what you want. And if I can say, that is the one thing: specificity. Be specific, know exactly who you are and what you want, and write it down, because there is a book called Write It Down, Make It Happen, because it's all about your vision and your dreams. And of course, your podcast is Today's Dreams is Tomorrow's Reality, and it is the truth. You can, through faith, manifest what you want and what God wants for you. He has treasures for us we don't even know. We can't even comprehend them. He has prepared a place for us, and he gives us a hope and a future. And there is no one on this earth that can do that for you. No one. You have to love you and be who God designed you to be. And then when these things come, click, click, click.
delete.
Exactly. Because I've had a lot more since then. I'm like, oh, well, oh, thank God, whatever.
Now I know.
Exactly. And I focus on my message and my purpose for my followers and my listeners to my podcast, and really just focus on what they need and to try to help them. So on my website, liftupevents.com, I have my podcast there, my books. I am an author. I'm working on my 5th book. It is coming out next month, and it's You Are Enough. Nice. How to stop imposter syndrome, stop comparing yourself to others, and start being your true self in Christ. Because that matters. There's too much of that going on. People trying to compare themselves when they're beautiful the way they are. I can see people, and I just see all that weight. It's just all that limiting belief, that guilt, that shame that they have been carrying probably all their life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that for a fact, but I just can see their beautiful shape and their beautiful body inside them, because they just let the world tell them who they are, or they have listened to the world and just assume that's who they are. Because they don't even know who they are. So people need to figure out who they are and realize that they're enough, that they're deserving, that they're worthy, and they were created for a purpose, and they are truly loved unconditionally. God loves us unconditionally.
Yeah. So is there something else that you wanted to let people know about who you are? Or is that, you feel like that's complete?
So my vision coaching, you can check that out on my website. I do also have a free vision board course there.
That
and
sounds interesting.
A free download to activate your faith. So you can look at that. I have a blog. You can listen to my podcasts, order my book. So professionally, I'm an IT person.
Yeah. So one of the things, I don't remember if you've given me the link to all this stuff, but if you will make sure that you give me the link, I'll put it in the description so that anybody that is listening or watching, that they can actually definitely reach out in whatever way they want to work with you or to purchase your stuff, because that's pretty powerful stuff.
Yes, I would love that, Vickie. And I'm also working on just increasing my faith. I feel like I'm being called to be a faith healer. And we just had our first conference, like I said earlier, in Indiana. We're having our next one in November in Kingston, Georgia.
Where's Kingston, Georgia? I've lived here my whole life. Where's Kingston?
It's near Adairsville. So between Adairsville and Cartersville.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's there, but I'm really expecting a move of God. We had a great move of God in Indiana. I didn't realize that we were going to have an interpreter, so we had a whole Spanish group along with our English speaking group, and it was just wonderful. The Lord really moved, and people were delivered. So I'm expecting great things, and we're going to do one more in December in Cedartown. So
Okay, nice, nice. So, what is this again? It is faith healing. What?
So the conference is Sow, Grow, Restore, and Transform. And it's to help people understand how whatever their actions are, thoughts, words are seeds, and they're sowing them and they're going to harvest that. And we want to make sure that they're sowing the good seed, that they're not getting lost by the wayside, or they're not getting lost in the ground that can't even be harvested, because we want to see people reap the harvest. That was why I started Lift Up events in 2017, was to do vision boards or vision board workshops, because people need to dream again. That's really what I wanted people, my message was for them to be lifted up and to clear the clutter and realize their dreams, because as it says in Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision, make it plain, so those that see it can run. We were meant to run and proceed and help others, not just make a way for ourselves. But whatever we do, we're planting seeds, we want to harvest it. And then the portion that I speak on is on restoration and transformation, of course, because I have lived through that and experienced it myself, to share the steps to that when you need it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, cool. That sounds like a really cool thing. So definitely make sure you have the link in that, so anybody that's local especially can, or even people might come from other places. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, so this has been such a heartwarming conversation, and I'm so thankful for you to being so vulnerable. And I know you wrote a book about it, but the written word is different than being right here. And so I really appreciate you being vulnerable and letting everybody in and know your heart. And I'm just really, really grateful for you doing this.
Thank you, Vickie. I've enjoyed it. And thank you for having me on your podcast. And I really hope that I said something to your listeners to help them realize that today's dreams truly is tomorrow's reality.
Yes, me too. All right. Mwah.